and Deputy CAFO Lindsay Hackett, Budget Director Chris Frazier, whole team, financing. They continue to do a wonderful job when it comes to our budget during challenging times. And I want to commend the cabinet heads and department heads. I actually come in leave. They really have come in leave. That's extremely important because of the unpredictability of federal government, which then trickles down to the state government, which then trickles down to us. I'm proud of our fiscal strength and stability. We've been able to keep the highest bond ratings in the city's history under my administration. And I know people kind of say, what's the big deal about that? Well, it is a big deal because it keeps interest rates and borrowing low. And we just announced the Harena School, and because of our fiscal strength, we're able to continue to build and rehab new schools at the tune of over $1 billion, the most in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We have a respectful and healthy reserve, which we hope either be for the 12th or 13th or 14th year that we are able to balance the budget without any use of reserves, which at times is unheard of at municipal level. But there might come a time when we need those reserves and we don't want to liquidate them now. And it's extremely important. Key word here is sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. And we want to keep basic services going, and the individuals who provide those basic services to our residents and to our business community. That's extremely important. And again, I thank cabinet heads, department heads, and rank and file all the way down to for all the efforts that they do day in and day out. It does make a difference, and we want to continue to move forward with that. Let me turn it over to CAFO Kathy Bunnell for a few words.
I guess I'm just gonna reiterate what the mayor said, that we want to thank the department heads. We couldn't do this without them. They have come in with level service, and they worked very hard on these budgets. We still have a gap, so we still will have to do some cutting, but we couldn't be where we are without the department. And so we just want to say thank you to all the department heads.
Chief of Staff Billy Japer, any comments or questions? Thank you. Okay, first on the hit parade, and he's back in the saddle again, and we're glad to have him back here as our comptroller. Numbers himself, I'll take the Guinness to go. Patrick Kearns, come on up, Patrick. That concludes Patrick's remarks. Or rather, that's another one that doesn't like to talk on camera too, you know. Kathy, anything to open up with? You know, this might not sound sexy again, but these offices are extremely important to make sure that we stay financially sound and strong with the comptrollers. And we're so happy that just when you thought you were out back, we dragged you right back in, and your team has done a great job, and you always do more with less. Comptroller Burns, Pat.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the kind words. I'm joined here today by Deputy Comptroller Heather Benjamin.
Yeah, Heather, thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Who recently also came back to the
That's
city.
right. We got her back too.
She did.
Hey, come on back here.
So this is like the welcome back Cotter.
Yeah. You're gonna break into a song now.
So we're asking for funding for 6 general fund positions and 1 position that's currently funded with the utility fund. This is consistent with FY26, and we're actually down a position from FY25. Our other than personal services budget is not very exciting. Funds are copier, scanner, printer combination, which is vital to our everyday work environment. $1,300 for seminars and education. This is some courses I'd like Heather to take. Hopefully to take over my position in a couple of years.
Where you going? Just came back for
Some dues and memberships, staff, we're all members of the Mass Municipal Accountants and Auditors Association. A lot of wild people there.
You know, the conference is coming up again, and I'm very happy retired Lieutenant Bobby Moore, New Hampshire Police Department is on the state board. He's one of the retirement day, and they hold it down at the Sheridan every year, which I appreciate across the state. And you're right, they do. It's, you know, it's an exciting crew that comes there, Patrick.
We have some printing and binding and postage expenses. These are pretty much entirely for the production and the mailing of 1099 forms, which we do annually. We have our office supply budget, and we have a supporting in-state travel budget for our seminars and education line item. We try to do as many trainings remotely if they're offered, try to save some money on that line item. But some of the trainings we've noticed, they're moving back towards in person.
In essence, you're doing more with less. Some of the stuff that you have to do is statutory and mandatory for the mailings and other things that go on, but when you look at it, you stayed very lean. Anything else, Ben?
No, that's all. Yeah.
Heather, what about your 13-page dissertation?
Next time.
Next one. Okay. Kathy, you gonna grill them both now?
Good with your budget.
They
grill us. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Billy, anything?
No, just,
Okay, and
thank you,
I-
Pat and Heather and your staff.
Yeah, no,
Good
you
job.
do a great job. It's, you know, it's behind the scenes, but it's extremely important. Again, I don't see any city councils on. All right, Patrick, Heather, you're off the hook.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And you really had no requests at all either. Just the, well, state mandated report stuff, you have to report and stuff, so, and the utility thing, good.
Mayor, we do have a counselor just joined.
Oh, Counselor, Victor Davila is, online, and Victor's been very faithful in attending in person or online. Counselor Davila, thank you very much. I don't know if you want to just say a couple of, short opening remarks.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Glad to be attending again. Today I'm attending via Zoom, but looking forward to hear the rest of the presentation for a budget. And thank you again for the invite.
Thank you again, Counselor Davila. Okay.
Thank you.
Next on the hit parade is our treasurer and collector, Steve Lonergan. He and his team have done a great, and Sandy's here too. And Michael, yeah, Michael. And come on up, Michael.
Yeah, they don't get to sit down there. So
Yeah, come on up.
It's now a one-man show.
And I want to thank Treasurer Lonigan and Sandy and Mike for their efforts. I mentioned on earlier budget hearings that, you know, years and years ago, when you could do it by law, you would balance your budget on 100% of anticipated, collecting all of anticipated revenue. And many times, you know, the city was only collecting about 88% or so, and that would just start a structural deficit at that point in time. And done a great job. It's on the tax title stuff. We used to have auctions left and right. Now we're down to a few. Because collecting taxes at a good clip. I know it's in the mid to high 90s on it, and your appreciate your customer service. Kathleen,
No.
opening comments, or Billy? Okay, Steve.
Thanks, guys. Guys, I told you real quick. Farrah, thank you. We're lean our budget. It hasn't changed much over the multiple years I've done this. We keep things in line. Our biggest expense items are gonna be along the tax title stuff, and between the advertising on the collector sides to the actual taking and then auctioning of the tax file and the legal stuff. The highlights for the treasurer side for us is the investment income. We have managed, and largely through Sandy and myself, we go through and we meet with the banks at least monthly, if not bi-monthly, to discuss rates and where they are at the time. The rates, we expected a few cuts. Thankfully, they have not gone as bad as we thought. Right now, our high percentage rate is a 4.1%, which most banks, when I tell them that, they say, what? And I say, yeah, that's how we're good. You know, that's what we have, and they try to work with it, but also the low is 2.75. We have a nominal amount. It's a local bank, and we want to make sure that we keep in the market. We've also we've curtailed the impacts, if you will, of the rate cuts by investing a little bit more in CDs, usually about 9 months in length. They give us a better rate. We make sure in our cash flow, make sure that we're not going to be needing it. We also have worked out with the banks for the most part, that if we do have to tap into it at any point in time, we won't be penalized for it, and we'll be able to replenish it to get it back up to where it should be. Big investment on the tax rate was the T-bills.
Yeah.
That was, for a couple of years, averaging about 5% yield. Right now, it's less. We're working with our financial advisor to see if we can do a combination of T-bills and some other investments. It's coming right now around 4, which is, it's a drop, but it's not as bad as it could have been. So we're working to get to, we still get to the 2 million to.
And I thank you, Stephen, and City Councilor, Mike Fent to, work on this initiative together. And we use that money, which is upwards of about $2 million or so. And whether 9 months or turning it over in a year directly for tax relief to our residents and business community. So, and why are we able to do that? Because of a strong fiscal management and the reserves that we have. I think we're one of the few in the state that they're doing that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Stephen.
And then the, challenges we're gonna face in the upcoming year, we're going out to bid for banking services, so that's always entertaining. And then from there, the tax title with the new tax equity law, there is a much higher, good, I guess. I'm not sure how I feel about it per se, because we have to dispose of the property, you have to put it listed with the realtor for a year or keep it and appraise it. So there's added costs there. And so we just need to we're trying to navigate that piece of it and get the RFPs out for those 2 items so we can continue with disposition. And we had a fairly successful auction, I thought, in February.
One of the biggest in
We're
years,
the biggest,
money wise.
money-wise, or bid-wise.
Bid-wise.
We're in the process of closing them.
Yeah.
People seem to leave happy, and that's pretty good. And so we're rolling on with those right now. Those are really the big challenges. The interest, we want to get as much, maximize our interest revenue, if you will. On the collector side, where the increase of the budget is 1.9%. Again, lean and
minuscule.
yeah, we're very, we try to very lean. We budget for what we need. Issues we're gonna raise into, again, with the new law, as far as more mailing for letters to taxpayers, demand notices, et cetera. We have to pay a constable or the deputy collector to post it on the property. The material to post and all that other fun stuff. But those are our biggest ones. Right now, our food program revenue wise is doing very well. From the time we start putting in 2013 till now, we've collected over $5 million in delinquent excise and parking tickets. So that's a good plus for us. Tax collections right now, we're at about 72% through 3/4 of the year. We expect to pick it up more in the fourth quarter to get it closer to, we'll end up probably on 97, 98%.
Yeah.
In that regard. Motor vehicle right now is at 68%, but there is a bunch more coming in from delay from the lock boxes. So we expect that to be normal in same range, but right now it's at 16%. And then our challenges for that is the proposed change that the governor might do to the excise.
Yeah, it's not fair to the residents and the businesses that pay their taxes on time. That would really, people would not, they just won't pay.
Right.
And same thing when it comes to the foreclosed properties. Many of those properties have been detriments and negativity to our neighborhood areas, and now they're looking legislation as far as that, where you gotta pay the equity to it after we've had to take over those properties. Again, that's a revenue loss there, but on the excise, it's not fair to people that, you know, pay their bills, pay on time, that, and it's a good chunk of money that would be lost. I have sent a letter out to the MMA, Mass Municipal, and to the Mass Mayors Association too, which they agree on too. That is a budget buster, and it's just not right that, you know, we pay our bills, and others will say, I don't have to pay the bill because I can still get my license, I can still get my registration, I can still get whatever I need from the RMV, and you know, and then I could be a scofflaw and continue parking tickets and traffic violations and face no repercussions. You know, we try to be fair and try to help out anybody we can. These are state statute, but I'm hopeful that that's relooked at, as with the foreclosures, which the treasurer and his team work with individuals if you have difficulty with property, getting the payment plans to try to keep them in their homes. But many of these properties end up becoming derelict and a drain for the neighborhood area, or it's vacant lots, or it's fire ravaged houses. And you know, we try to get them back as a positive influence in the neighborhood and get it back on the tax rolls. But that excise and the foreclosure aspect, where a property that's been a drain for the city for many, many years, now all of a sudden it's gonna pay back money to an owner that's neglected the property for years. And then we've had to foot the bill. Not fair to the people that pay the taxes and pay their bills on times. So,
And towards the excise mayor, thank you for sending that letter first, but also I was checking with our deputy collector. Our collection rate goes up 9% once the marks are put on. And in FY25, that amounts to about $982,000. So it's a substantial amount of money that we or potentially will lose. So, thank you for sending that letter.
thank you. You know, we saw it and you really made specific how it would affect Kathy and I, how it would affect us on it. So, you know, what's right is right, wrong is wrong, what's fair is fair. And, it's not right.
And our FTDs for both departments are
So,
saying.
yeah. Yeah, you went up in minuscule 1 point some % and barely over 2, and a lot of stuff you have to do is statutory
Yes.
too. Mailings. Any questions or comments? Kathy, Ellen? Can't get a word in edgewise, Sandy and Mike, with you too.
Steve likes to do the time.
He does not, you're fired.
All right, thank you.
Wow, that's a circle.
You're off,
Yeah.
you're off the hook.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask you a quick question?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, Councilor DeVille's on there, I apologize.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good to see you, Steve. Just a quick clarifying question. I noticed you have a request for extra funding for cash management. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
We got there, what line item are you talking about, Counselor?
Oh Jesus, I gotta pull up my book now. It's under the collectors perhaps, or treasurer. It says here extra funding for cash management. If you don't have it, I can talk to you offline about it later.
That may be typo, because I don't believe I did. There wasn't anything extra. We may have reallocated something from another line item to cover the cash management, which would also impact processing, tax title, payments, et cetera. And we're looking to make sure that we can do things on a timely basis so that we can get the revenue in as soon as possible. But we can talk offline if you like.
Yeah, I'll give you a call offline. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you, Councilor DeVille. We're also joined by Councilor Justin Hurst online, and Councilor Hurst, any comments at all? Any comments, opening remarks? Okay, hearing none, we'll now move. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay. Mr. Creative himself is up. Timmy Sheen in Team Planning and Economic Development. Amanda, thank you. Brian Connors, everybody else, thank you on that. For the, it's the.
And Phil don't wanna like.
Phil is wrong there, planning director. Hey, I have to say, to Director Sheen and the whole team, what I call Mr. Creativity, Mr. Creative. we've been able to do, he's gonna go into a multitude of, projects and stuff he'll get into, but, I go up State Street and housing is such an important thing. The whole school department's moving forward across from Helen's shop, HHS on State Street, the old welfare building. That's moving forward. Housing, McCaffrey's moving forward downtown. Single family houses in our neighborhoods, first time home buyers. We continue the aggressive pace, on that, the Gemini site ownership there. The project, we pulled off the east, well, now it's, crossings, but the Eastfield Mall project is, we worked hard on that. I appreciate your efforts and, felt a lot of nonprofits, that new sheetrock company that, that's gonna do different than sheetrock. We're looking to bring them in. That's 100 new jobs. So there's been a lot of things, developments that have, gone on, and, Union Station. It's kind of in New York City now. We got so much traffic going on that they're looking to run almost hourly trains from there, which is a good sign for Union Station. I'm very thankful to Congressman, Neil Terricci's, efforts on that in the city on it. So that has become, once a derelict building, it's thriving, now. And, so a lot of things going on, and I sign them almost every week. I'm signing, the new, home buyers and housing rehab. We helped out a tremendous amount of people through all the neighborhoods, being able to stay in their homes. Cause they need some rehab work, done on that. So, I'm not gonna steal your thunder, but I'm very clear. And we're meeting with prospective developers all the time, and, we've been with the sports others on that, and we look to, have some news on other developers that we've been meeting with to create a good 4-letter word, JOBS, jobs, new jobs. Director Sheehan, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
Amanda.
First, let me recognize Amanda Pham, the Development Services Finance person who does a great job in making sure I stay within budget, and as Kathy can attest.
Another
That's
doctor,
no easy task. The Office of Planning and Economic Development, along with the Building Department, represent the portions of the Development Services Division which are directly included in the city's general fund. Some of the more significant highlights of what OPED has achieved in terms of economic influence back to the city in advancing this year includes the following: the establishment of the DIF district to support the development of the $80 million Springfield Crossing development at the former Eastfield Mall. This was only the second time the city has deployed a DIF, and it was a collaborative task across a number of departments, including finance. And I think it was a testament to how all the departments came together to make that happen. And it was that was no simple task for sure. We advanced $11.6 million, 60-unit vault housing development, as you referenced, at 310 State Street. We advanced the 13 million, 62-unit housing development at the long vacant 195 State Street, the old school department building, and also picked up the building at 19 and 25 Maple Street into that project, which is now going to be 62 units of housing. Continue to advance the $48 million mixed-use development at State and Main, containing 99 housing units and 15,000 square feet of retail. OPED is advancing the planning and construction of the $22 million Willow Cross Street garage, advanced over 25 small business assistance grants to support the Springfield small business community. An example and highlight of this program is the Goddess store, which is a specialty women's apparel. And it's located right on Main Street. OPED received over $6 million in grant funding for this year for various city-related projects. OPED continues to administratively manage 2 ARPA programs. OPED serves as the staff to, now listen to how many of these there actually are.
Yes.
The Springfield Redevelopment Authority, the Historic Commission, the Conservation Commission, the Planning Board, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. OPED also serves as the city's liaison to the Springfield Parking Authority. We have 13 general fund staff members, which includes the movement of the zoning code enforcement staff from the building department. The increase in staffing positions this year reflects the movement of the senior inspector inspectional clerk for code enforcement to OPED from the building department's payroll, so that's a wash. Additionally, we had an administrative grant funding that paid for a portion of the salary that concludes in December of 2026, which had to be reallocated back into the OPED budget. The budget also contains a normal level of support for the SRA and bid. I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Thank you, Timmy, and again, sometimes you spend a little money to, make money, and, he just touched upon a few of the projects that we are continuing to do, so.
And if I could, before I
Go ahead.
conclude, I just wanted to give a shout out to the council members that are here. Thank you so much for the zone change that you approved last night to advance housing in the northeast corner of the downtown.
Thank you, Council Catholic, Billy,
No, I'm good.
Council Davila, Councilor Hurst, any questions or comments?
I just have a clarifying question. Tim,
Council Davila?
yeah, Tim, refresh my memory, how many units are going downtown?
In total, the pipeline for development for housing across the city is now reaching close to 750 units.
Okay, will you be able to tell, that's a great number. That probably translates to like over 2,000 people with housing, correct?
In terms of needs,
Yeah.
that's for the county councilor. It's
Oh, the
not
county.
just Springfield.
Okay, okay, would you have an idea how many units are, I think you told me once, going to Lyman in that area there? Plus, we have the ones in front of the GM that we just approved not too long ago.
Oh, well, the urban renewal plan for that Lyman Street section over a number of years gets up close to 1,000 units, but that's a 10-year window. I
Gotcha.
think, realistically, over the next 5 to 6 years, we can probably be looking at 300 to 400 units of housing going into that area.
All right, good enough. Thank you, good job.
Thank you,
thank you.
Councilor. Timmy, how much for the, where are we at now, about 400 or 500 in Springfield proper, or is it as high as 750 now with the new housing units?
It's as high as 750 in the
Okay.
pipeline.
So I know a couple of years ago, I said we would have at least 600 in the, moving forward, so you've done 750 now.
Yes,
Great, that's Springfield proper.
proper.
And that concludes market rate housing, workforce development housing, and assisted type housing, and improvements to others.
And I think Steve can verify that less than 5 years ago, we were approving less than 100 units of housing on an annual basis.
That's our building commissioner, Steve Desoletta, coming up shortly, so.
So
Desperate need for housing
Big
from
growth.
100 to here's down to 750, which is again, all different types of housing, which is extreme. That's the major issue throughout the state, throughout the country.
And one thing that's critically important is that some of the property on which this housing is going was either nonprofit, and ultimately it's going back on
Tax rules.
to be for profit, or it was owned by the city, and the city was basically doing the carry on the buildings, and it wasn't yielding anything from a tax revenue standpoint.
Okay, any other questions or comments pertaining to planning and act?
I just wanted to make a quick comment,
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor, if I
Councilor
may.
Davila, go ahead, yeah.
Sure. Timmy, I had the pleasure of going to the housing conference at Holyoke Community College a couple of days ago, and there was some wonderful data being put out. I think I saw Director McCaffrey there, and I think they were saying that, and don't quote me on the numbers, but I think they were predicting for Springfield overall in need of about 5,000 units. And if that's accurate, and we're already going to
No,
750 to 1,000, that's a good progress.
That's
That
not
might be
accurate.
Hampton County.
It-
So-
it- I think you're still going back to the county, well, actually, I
Oh,
think that
county.
was looking at Western Mass.
Yeah.
In terms of all of Western
I
Mass.
think it was 8,000 or something like that.
That number is way
Yeah.
too big for a Springfield counselor.
That's what I initially sort of wonder. But listen, over 1,000 units, 750 to 1,000 units, a good progress, no matter how you slice it. So
Yeah, I certainly agree with you on that.
yeah. All right,
And
thank you.
Can I just say on the Gemini site too, and Tim, I'll send over the cards and notes we get, about home ownership. And that was a vacant piece of property, the devastating fire. Gemini site was open 3 shifts in the heyday, 3 shifts, the whole day and night working there in the heart of the South End. But people were able to buy their own home, we felt out. And some of the cards and letters received about, their dreams come true. And they came here in Springfield, they came to Springfield, and it builds that generational wealth and equity, have owning your own home. And, they've done pretty well over there too.
Well, you and I heard a lot of skepticism about the marketability of that project and there's less than 2 units left.
That's right, sign them all the time. But those cards and notes are very, heartfelt. And they said, Springfield didn't give me this opportunity, you guys didn't give me this opportunity, I would never own a home for my family, so, kudos on that. Any other questions of Director Sheen, Deputy Director Amanda Farm? Okay, what's next on your?
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Oh, code enforcement.
Can't escape it.
John Claude Keely, we have our, great building commissioner, Steve Desolette, and Deputy, Mark Ebert there. And, you know, I tell people all the time, if you can't work with building commissioner Steve Desolette, then you can't. He's at the combination of private sector and public sector, and always work within the law, to help you with your, situation or development, on it, and your inspectors too. I know we're going online now. And thank you for, again, verifying, you're right, some years ago, we're about 100 units getting done. Now we're, 750 more climbing on it. And a lot of major construction. I want to thank your team, especially for Springfield Crossing. They told me you guys were fantastic to work with, and it was a major development on that. And besides the other things, do inspections for the residents when they have the plumbing during their electrical around it. And thank you on that. But Kathy, any questions or opening comments? Billy? Okay, Commissioner, go ahead.
That's it. We're good at that.
Yeah, that's good to hear from Dr. No, right?
The new Dr. No next match. Give her a good shout out. She's good at the, no, you can't do that. You have to stay at this. No special requests.
And I want to give you also a shout out to Keith O'Connor, Housing Code Enforcement, being an old young housing inspector many years ago, and then the deputy director. You're walking into some very difficult situations on that.
Yeah, Keith has been excellent to work with. He filled the shoes of that division very well. Keith and Mark are definitely my right-hand man and my left-hand man. I couldn't do the stuff that we do or the mission of our Department of Public Safety without them guys, their dedication and everything on it. So definitely shout out to the guys that are around me that make us successful. The Building Code Department and Housing Department, for public safety, we work every day between enforcement, licensing, inspections on anything from hospitals to new building, new construction, enforcing the minimum standards of the state through Mass General laws and our city ordinances. We've been asked to keep a level funded budget. I think we did a great job with the help of Amanda to fund our budget requests of 25 full-time FTEs, which was a reduction of 1 from FY26 with some of the adjustments in the department. The reduction of the 1 full-time is a representative of the final staff and relocation of the zoning code enforcement staff to the Office of Planning and Economic Development. That was the senior inspector that Tim had mentioned. The OTPS level funds include all contractual obligations, costs, which includes all uniforms, safety equipment, a lot of our training, including a lot of our new expensive code books that we keep going through iterations of the code every couple of years now, and there are thousands of dollars to keep up with just the main body of the code. Training costs, ensure inspectors are educated in all firm codes and enforcement statutes. That's including a lot of our state trainings that make sure our inspectors go through along with our in-house training. Continued funding for OpenGov, the software that allows permitting services to be fully accessible online, including our electronic payment system. This has gone really well.
Yeah.
As the mayor knows, everybody knows, we made some adjustments last year. The full-time positions, one of the big investments was the software system. So we went from literally 6 months behind on building permits down to within 2 weeks all the time.
Yeah, and that,
Long
and
district.
time is money, and that was, I appreciate all the developers, homeowners, the businesses that were patient with us, but now it's, within striking distance that they're able to do that. And the other thing too, when you look at it, the building department is almost self-funding within reason. Because what you do, there's revenue that comes in, and that's extremely important. But the online, I know it took a while when you do the software stuff. You wanna make sure it's working well, but that's tremendous, because at times it could be a 6 month layover. Now you're talking about moving things within 2 weeks or less on it,
Yeah,
so thank you on that.
Yeah, a lot of it was your support, Mayor, with adjusting the pay scales and stuff
Yeah.
for the building inspectors and
Yeah.
the clerks. So we stabilized the department. We've had no loss of employees. It's the
Yeah.
first time in years that we haven't lost any clerks. And it shows we went from next to nothing a year ago to over $600,000 in fines and fees. Be able to process that along with all the permits and get us down within 2 weeks. So there's.
The commissioner brings up a good point, because you have other areas, and we never begrudge anybody if there's a better opportunity for them and their families, but they were poaching our inspectors, so we're able to do that. And basically, I think when Bill Mahoney was here last week, basically all our, except for one, all our unions are all under contract, and there's labor peace and labor harmony on that, so that's good to hear.
The only last part, we're working on the enforcement module on that, so that's one reason our data is behind on what our proactives and stuff are, but that's in progress. The budget overview for the building division is $2,158,403. That brings us within the requirements of, for the budget request. Requested 25 full-time employees, were funded there. The budget impact. Department is within the less than the 2.5 growth. For one thing we're looking at for continued upgrades is our vehicle fleet. We've just, through Amanda and Dr. No, we were able to.
We got, I guess you got two Dr. No's here. I didn't know Amanda was Dr. No. I know she's Dr. No, believe me.
It was show me the money, but we have the money because of our fines and fees that we do keep in the weights and measures department. We're purchasing a new truck for the weights and measures. And we're currently waiting for 5 new vehicles for the code enforcement and building department to replace some of our fleet.
And I want to thank, Director, DPW Director Chris Signoli on that. He sort of heads up, on the vehicle replacement, and, Commissioner Calvin is very good on fire and things with 10 acres. We want to make sure we stay ahead of that, because I mean, the vehicles have been very, very old. It's not cost efficient and effective, so we try to do it in a timely manner.
Moving forward on the housing code division, I think we're within a 2.5%. Our budget request of 15 general fund FTEs. This represents a decrease of 1 FTE over FY26 from the elimination of a case manager and program manager combined into one that coordinates the access system and project management in Jerry's shop. This actually funds the contractual clothing and supply allowances for all members of UPSI and our bargaining units. This continues funding for Mayor's Clean City program.
Yeah.
This also continues the funding to the CDBG program for the homelessness and prevention through its receivership program, which we know has been a very successful program.
Yeah, we've been using it as an example. I want to give a shout out again to Keith O'Connor and to Jerry McCaffrey. Neglected to mention in Timmy's shop on it, and the code enforcement inspectors, and being a former inspector and director, deputy director. Difficult situation that you walk into, and I get all our inspectors want to be able to snap their fingers and have that problem go away. But many times they're forced to take individuals or developers or owners, especially absentee owners, to court. And that takes some time, whether it's an owner issue or a tenant issue on that, but they and especially on emergency issues, which is forthwith moving forward on that.
That comes in where we'll give a shout out to Lisa D'Souza.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I never-
Amber Gould on her enforcement team, the 4 warriors that we have. If you look at what happened at Springfield Gardens.
We mentioned that in prior budget hearings, and we put in yeoman work on that, and again, with AG Campbell, Andrea, we appreciated her efforts, and that fund, I would have liked to have recouped some of the money that we expended down in between police and fire and code enforcement and building department on it, but we were able to run them out of the city. And again, when you look at Merriam-Webster, on the definition of a slumlord, they certainly fit that.
Oh, it's a
So
great,
good,
great big picture of them on the page.
Yes.
Budget overview, the budget request is $1,169,208, stay within our requirements. The general fund of FTEs is 15, that's minus the 1. The department did present its 2.5 budget bill for its level of service budget. Part of that, again, is the continued upgrade, vehicle fleet, the new truck and 5 cars that we're waiting on. And then the actual, reduction of $10,000 in total adjustment for the budget in the 2.5.
Kathy, any questions you do? Counselors, Counselor Davila, Counselor Hurst, any questions at all for Building Commissioner, Steve Desolette and his team? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, guys. We'll move forward on that. Yeah, well, it is.
This is only a prosperous.
That's right.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I'm not kidding.
Okay, and I believe our great police superintendent, Larry Akers is here and team. Come on down. Great photo shop for your parade. And I'm sorry I couldn't, with the weather and continued cancer treatments, and again, I Dana-Farber yesterday, so I was hoping the weather would change. I love marching with you guys, police in the parade, but
Totally understood.
thank you for being out there and, showing our flag too on that, so.
Absolutely.
And I want to, thank Police Superintendent, Akers. We just recently had, the Narcan, how many lives? I think it was 671 lives that have been saved. And including as some more on the fire side with Fire Commissioner BJ Cavley will be coming on later. And your efforts and your dedicated men and women in blues efforts, crime overall is down, and that's important. And that that you've been out and about our neighborhood areas and other things. I know you're going to pontificate again. I just ironically. I know Nestor Santos, a brave and dedicated officer, was back on the job, but, lost his eye and was injured and shot with those repeat violent criminal offenders who should not have been on the street. It was mayhem throughout the streets. They ran over mass stop people, etc. I checked with my chief staff, Bill Baker. We file that bail reform legislation every year, and we have something coming out from District Attorney Baloney and I very shortly. And since 2015, and again, they shelved it. And how ironic, those perfect example, those individuals shouldn't have been on the street, the mayhem they caused. And I always say about the rights of the victims and their families, your team is doing a job out there. And again, it takes no rights away from anyone, but I appreciate all your efforts, Larry, and of all the Blue, they have a difficult job to do. And it's an important job, public safety and hospitality. Many times the men and women in blue are out there, we're having big events, whether in downtown Springfield or neighborhoods, and they're there for hospitality and traffic control. And I get comments when those events are here too. Hey, it's great that city officers, and they were very helpful on it. So, Kathy, if you have anything or Billy before I turn it over to Superintendent Akers.
Very well, first I'd like to thank you for the opportunity, Your Honor, for
Thank you for taking it.
allowing me to be here and talk today, and also Chief of Staff, Bill, thanks for everything you do, Molly. Thank you. Chris Frazier, especially Capo.
Dr. No.
Thank you very much.
The academy's going forward.
Also like to recognize the city councilors that I see on the screen here. Councilor Davila and Justin Hurst, I'd like to recognize them. But also like to throw out recognition for my budget director, finance director, who couldn't be here today, Lisa Willis. She makes sure that I keep
abreast of everything, what's going on with our finances in the police department, and I appreciate that. If I could, I'd like to just start by talking about some of the things that are going on in the Springfield Police Department over the past this past fiscal year. And we have hundreds of good women and men that work for this police department. They get up every day and they put on that uniform and they leave it all out there on the street, even on some of the very difficult times. So I just wanted to thank all of those officers who come to work every day, go out there under some trying circumstances and, you know, get the job done, protecting and trying to keep our citizens of the city of Springfield safe. I definitely wanted to get that out there. As of right now, our police academy, we're looking forward to graduating approximately 50 recruits on May 7th of this year. Unfortunately, we already have state police trying to grab some of them, but that's the story of our lives. That's what happens. The department's been investing in our officers and expanding training opportunities, especially our supervisory ranks. A total of 27 officers, supervisors, sergeants, and lieutenants have attended approximately 60 FBI leader training classes. And what LEADA is, it's the Law Enforcement Executive Development Association, which is run by the FBI. And what it does, it takes newly appointed sergeants right up until executive ranks, and it teaches them all about management styles and what they should do to make a better police department. And in addition to that, we've had 25 supervisors attend our science-based force interview training. And we just sent them through that, and that teaches our supervisors how to properly interview witnesses during any of our use of force investigations, which is one of our final steps in adhering to our settlement agreement with the DOJ. And I think that's very important that we're putting our supervisors through the training. There's also a lot more training opening up for our patrol officers. But right now, we're certainly concentrating on our supervisors, which, like I said, is a big part of our settlement agreement. The department's been doing great work with the DOJ and the compliance and evaluation team. You know, we're staying on top of things to make sure that we keep pace with all the things that are required in the agreement. And I think that we're right where we need to be at this time. Our detective bureau continues to do great work, especially in the area of serious crimes, whether it be assisting victims or solving the cases. Since the beginning of the fiscal year, unfortunately, we've had 9 homicides, 6 of which have been cleared by arrest, and 1 that's been cleared by exceptional circumstances. And our homicides unit is operating at a 77% solve rate. And that's compared to a 61% national average.
And I gotta give a shout out to Senior Captain Trent Duda, AKA Columbo, who really loves doing this very, very difficult job, and they're always doing texts of one death is too many, or at least we said many a times, and but we try to bring some closure and some justice to the family victims and the family of the victims on it. And then I thank the city council too and my finance team on the body worn cameras, updates on it, and on the tasers. Again, Springfield was the first in the Commonwealth, definitely the first, I think we were the first in the Commonwealth implement body worn cameras for any and all officers. And we did that during the COVID-19 pandemic. We kept moving forward on it. And that's paid huge dividends for transparency on our side, and also transparency for the public about what happened and what did not happen at that point.
Yes.
So, but thank you.
Okay. And continuing with our firearms investigation unit, just a couple highlights on them. They continue to do phenomenal work. And you know, they team with many of our local law enforcement partners to keep illegal firearms off the street. And they team up with local, state, and federal police. And this fiscal year alone, through collaborative efforts, They've arrested 174 individuals, executed 30 search warrants, which has resulted in the seizure of 75 firearms, 12 motor vehicles, over 30,000 grams of cocaine, nearly 5,000 grams of heroin, and just over $108,000 in cash. And these are the combined efforts, but all of these efforts have a nexus to the city of Springfield, and they're doing a great job. They're working hard and under dangerous situations, and I'd like to applaud that unit also. Our neighborhood stabilization unit, where our Metro and C3 units operate, continue to support, as you were speaking about earlier, our hospitality, making sure when people go out at night, they feel safe and when they come and visit our cities. Our Hope 2.0 program continues to assist our disenfranchised people who want services. We're always out there to make sure that they get the services that they need. Our internal investigation unit continues active investigations for internal and external complaints. And this fiscal year, there's an overall projected 36% decrease in citizens' complaints against the police department. So we hope to keep that going, and we're confident that we're going to keep getting better as time goes. I just want to jump over to our Axon, which I know.
Can I also say, please, when you're too modest, BHN, I believe we're one of the first departments, not in the Commonwealth, to have trained mental health workers that go out with our police department, and the Hope 2.0 is a subset of that too. And kudos to Lieutenant Brian Elliott and that team, all the city departments involved in that. As you said, if people want help and it's not a criminal type activity, we're gonna, and we have with First Justice Mulvey in court, where we have Stephanie Tonelli, but we have a BHN work, a counselor that is there for those cases of, again, is police superintendent in the case. If it's a criminal activity, police are gonna deal with it. But if it's not a criminal activity, that's where the mental health, and we try to get them help with homeless. I'm
Right.
sorry, sir, go ahead.
No, that's okay. They're very helpful. I mean, BHN is right there with us. I mean, we even have at times where they actually ride with our officers and will respond to things, and it's very helpful. I mean, especially during the times where a lot of people would like to see more clinicians out there to answer certain calls, but we certainly have to be there to make sure that those situations are safe for those clinicians to be there. So,
And those clinicians will say, at the neighborhood meetings from years ago too, they're the first ones to say, we're not going out there without a police officer or police officers with us first.
Right.
Because things can change like that. If it's not that issue, then police leave and the clinicians, but they're the first ones to say, we want to make sure the officers respond with us first, to delineate what is or what isn't going on. The clinicians have said that.
absolutely, everything's not a police issue.
Right.
But once
But
we
you
realize
guys get the call for
we
everything
have to
anyway.
be there, and once we're there, we make that determination and we move and keep moving. The one thing that I did want to speak about is Axon. And when this came in, it was a big number ticket, it was something, but.
That's directed at Dr. Nolan.
Well, thankfully she was Dr. Yes at that
Yeah.
time, so, and that was a good thing.
yes, but.
But it has absolutely increased the efficiency of the police department in many different ways. Use of force, our body worn cameras, our tasers, and one thing, our officer wellness, which I've really been pushing recently. And we're revamping that because too many officers of the past, especially from my era when I first came on, you didn't talk about officer wellness. We didn't speak about that, and that's something with Lieutenant Mark Kinney. He's really taking the lead on that, and we're sending officers if they need any help. We're trying to do the best we can to get them whatever help that we need, that we can, and that Axon plays a lot into that. Our Axon My 90, our survey tool, that is really coming along. Over the past 3 months, we put out surveys to people that have had encounters with the police for any reason, whether they called us, could be for a stolen car, could be for a barking dog, whatever it is, we send them a survey. And they're given the opportunity to respond to what quality they received from the police officers. And that's going to be very helpful for our community engagement. We're continuing to try to build on our community engagement. And, you know, they get a text message and a link and they answer the questions. How was your treatment? You know, what do you think? And I'm happy to say that, you know, it's not all positive, but we're at about a 90% satisfaction rate with those people. And, you know, about a 5.7% negative rate. I have to get bad with the good, you know, and, you know, but we're working on that. And we're going to continue working on that to try to build those bridges with our community. And, you know, that's more or less what I have to do to talk about as far as just some of the highlights that we've been doing over the last year. And we're going to keep those things going.
And I know we have, when you see like there's just a modest increase, and again, public safety will always stay, and always has been my number one priority. We have the academy coming in and, you know, thankful because of our fiscal strength that we're able to do that. Are we, policing across the country had gone through a tough time. I think the pendulum is swinging now, but, attrition wise, I know we're trying to get close to back up where we were. And I have to say, I'm proud of our police department and our fire department. We are the most diverse police department and fire department, definitely in Massachusetts and not in New England. And that goes from the hierarchy down to the rank and file. And also the force also does reflect our community with the residency that we have. Many of the new officers, and we have a young police department. And Superintendent Akers stresses the importance of our veteran officers or leadership, how important it is for them to be out in the street to mentor these individuals upon it. But are we with the 50? We'll still be a little bit short. Am I right? Or because of retirements or
Right.
people decide they don't want to be a cop?
Right. We will be, but for the first time, at least since I know that I've taken over the department, we're going to be very close to the numbers. And you know, if I'm allowed, I'll speak on a little bit of that.
Yeah, no, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
later on. But I guess now I'll speak about the what we're all here for is our FY27 budget, which you know, the budget process requested that, you know, our submissions be no more than 2.5% over our adopted 26 budget. And that's what, you know, we are attempting to do due to contractual obligations and increased costs associated with service agreements. Our level service request would have been $65,973,011. But being fiscally responsible as possible, and in order to submit the budget as outlined in a directive, the department reduced that number by 2.7 million. So our number for FY27 that I will be requesting will be $63,270,000. And to meet that request, you know, my department seriously considered not filling some vacant positions. And that is the first part of trying to cut that budget. And the cuts are going to be realized through civilian position vacancies. To be straight, I don't want to lose the positions. You know, I mean, they're important positions, but you know, what I'm asking is just to at least temporarily freeze them until we can reevaluate their impact on the department. But it is something that has to be done to get down to the number to where we would need to get down to. We have 9 positions, and if we do not fill those positions this time, it'll save us $523,000 approximately. And it would come from not filling 1 assistant payroll control analyst, 2 part-time detention attendants, 1 office manager from our clerk's office, 1 crime analyst, a crime analyst report supervisor, a police video and analyst, community police liaison, and 1 principal clerk. That would save us approximately $523,000, and the remaining of the reduction involves moving the cost for my budget for our Quebec student support unit from my department's general fund and moving it over to the school department.
Which is school, yeah, school reimbursed, but again, Kathy and I have said, about coming in lean, but then, you know, the strategic things that, have to get done, whether in public safety or others, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna look at that. And again, I don't, if you say all of a sudden superintendent or chief, I gotta have a cop now, he or she do that job. That's a no-go for me, because I want the cops on the street, so we'll look at that, and I know you have the, you know, the academy is very big, and I'm glad this, we're getting close to attrition, and that's great. We settled the contracts, there's labor, peace and harmony there, so we'll dig more into that about, you know, what can be, considered, especially in back office stuff,
And we appreciate your efforts to
Yeah.
put forward
You
those.
did, yeah.
You did do, and all the department heads did. You came in with what you had to. So we will look at that, and we understand that you don't want to lose 9 positions.
No, I don't.
But I appreciate you coming forward with them, and we will look at each one of them, and we will be in contact with both you and Lisa Willis to talk through all those.
Okay. So, if I could, and just,
Yeah, no, the floor is yours, sir.
I don't know if that's time to do it, but I would like to speak about an additional request. It's not.
Oh, my God. Kathy, we inadvertently set the table for him there.
Nice.
Well, I mean,
Well, he's got a gun, so.
you talked about, you know, our recruits and our attrition and everything, and, one thing that I would like, for you to look at is my continuing to be able to put people into the academy the next fiscal year. Even though our numbers are going to be close to where we are supposed to be, which would be 429 patrolmen and a total of 514 sworn officers. We're definitely gonna be losing other people. And if we don't continue to put the 50 people in, even once we catch up, we're gonna end up right back where we were a couple of years ago when we were 50, 60 people short. You know, so if you looked at just next calendar year, we have, in 2027, we'll have at least 62 members. They're at least 55 years of age with 30+ years on the job.
They can walk
And they could
out.
walk out the door
Okay.
anytime. And if they do, I mean, this isn't like it was, you know, 30 years ago when, you know, people stayed on the job till they're 65. It's just a different job. People just don't do it anymore. And once they get their time, they leave. And if we sit back and we wait on that, we're gonna end up being 100 officers short before you know it. And those are gonna be our most experienced officers and well-trained officers leaving. And we're gonna have a lot of young officers and with a shortage. And I think that's gonna be somewhat of a problem if we don't continue, if we're not allowed to continue to put officers in these academies. Even once we reach that 514 plateau, that's, we're just gonna lose that many more. And the way we look at it now, you look at the classes that came in from 1997, 1998, those are the people that are going to have their 30+ years and 55 years of age. Then after that, a couple years later, we go into a 7-8 year period where the city did not hire police officers. So we'll be able to stand packed on that, and we won't have as many people leaving. But up until that time, we're gonna have a lot of people leaving, and I would like to just keep the numbers going. And keep the numbers up there, just so we can make sure that we can keep our citizens safe in the city of Springfield. You know, and that's my additional request. So thank you for the segue.
Thank you, Superintendent Akers. Thank you very, very, very much, and for your leadership, and also being out there in the public a lot. I'm at a number of events or meetings or neighborhood things or other things going on, and you show up many times behind the scenes. He doesn't like to get, I gotta call him up to get up there. That's important because they see you out there. And it sends a good message on it. So, any questions or comments?
Just want to give your command staff a shout out and especially the ordinance flex squad.
Oh, yeah.
Neighborhood councils, they love that team.
That is something, when I took over as mayor, you get the calls all the time. I said, well, 58% is not a police, 62% is not a police call. So we gotta get all the departments involved and flex it where it's not a police call. They got the initial call. We need those departments. So the ordinance, in fact, they love that. That's one thing that's been a huge hit. And I see that, your deputy, Kane's here also too, but that's been a huge positive, especially for our neighborhoods, and I, appreciate that.
Yeah, they definitely, and there were numerous squads that I wanted to mention, but I did not want to, take up an hour of everyone's time. So, I just kind of, glossed over a lot of different things. But yes, I think that, I can't think of one unit within my department that isn't excellent unit and does a great job.
Sergeant, Cotillier, Billy does a great, flexing the word squad on that. We're joined by City Councilor, Brian Santinello, who's been pretty faithful in attending meetings. We appreciate that, Councilor Santinello. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll turn it over to Councilor Santinello is here in person. Brian, you have anything?
Yeah, sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. Did you mention the new academy
Yes.
of 52?
At this time, I believe we're at 51 and we're hoping to keep that 51.
So that's up from 30 some at the previous academy, right?
The previous academy was in the 40s. The one prior to that was 25.
Yeah.
So we're growing each time. I mean, we're getting those people out there. We have a lot of people that are going out and trying to recruit people. And, I just got an attaboy from one of the school principals of the city saying how the student support officers are speaking to, some of the students, trying to get them involved in our cadet programs so they can go into police work. And so we're out there and we're trying to get people, and I think our numbers are showing that. They're certainly not like the 2,500 we used to get, but they're absolutely much better than they were over the past 5 to 10 years.
And we're being able to retain them. Other cities and towns aren't drawing them away like they used to
Well,
before you.
if people, they do have, civil service came up with a different way of hiring to where you can go 50% off of your own list and then 50% off a civil service list. I have not implemented that for the reason which you just mentioned, because other departments can just come and pluck your officers and there's really no way to keep them, no way to retain them. And I mean, I hope their officers would like to stay here, but that's a reality of it. So at this time right now, we don't have that. So if an officer is going to leave and go to another jurisdiction or another department, then they would have to resign their position and then move on to that department.
Thank you so much. I just want to commend you for the job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilor Santinello. Superintendent Akers, Larry, you mentioned earlier, the state police many a time procure some of our officers and sway them away, but
I do.
thank you. The Councilor Davila, Councilor Hurst, any questions? Please, Superintendent Akers.
I do,
Councilor
Mr. Mayor. if I
Davila?
may.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Superintendent, thank you for your presentation. I got two questions for you. I was looking at the packet and something caught my eye. You're looking for extra funding for software to help ID or identify misbehavior by officers. Is that correct?
No, I'm not looking for any extra funding for that. That's something that we already have in our Axon suite.
Axon, yeah.
That's our early detection to where what it does is we enter every officer's, everything that comes up with that officer, whether it be sick time, whether it be, that officer may have a problem with dealing with the public. That all goes into their own personal file, and we try not to use it as a disciplinary tool. What we try to do is detect what's going on early before it becomes a serious problem.
That
And we
makes
pull
sense.
those people in, and that way we can try to, take care of the problem before it becomes an issue with any
Right.
of our citizens.
Right.
So that is something that we already have, and
Right.
it's something we're already implementing in our Axon suite.
Right. Well, not only is that gonna hopefully help us save money, but also have the best quality officers. I ask because it's here and the people work under special requests. And so, okay, so I'm glad to clarify that. Now, let me ask you a question. The worst case scenario you were talking about of losing 9 positions. God willing, that is not going to happen. But if it were to happen, who's going to absorb all that work?
The people that are already in those positions, they absorb most of that work anyway, because we're already at that point. You know, their positions, it's not laying people off or firing people. It's not filling the positions that we need to fill. So the people that are already working in those areas, they're already taking up the work. And you know, sometimes in many cases, they're overworked. And in some of those positions, I've assigned police officers to take over those positions such as like our community policing liaison and our police video analyst. You know, for this time, I mean, those are positions that we really need. And so we have to fill those, and at the time, we have to fill them with police officers to do the job. Unfortunately, that's the way that I can keep those positions moving right now.
Right. I look forward to have more of a robust conversation on this. I agree with you, Superintendent. We a little hesitant to lose those positions. We have made so much great work and advancing the police department that we hate to see us doing anything that might bring us back to the past. And so, thank you for your presentation, Superintendent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, Larry, you're off the hook. Say hello to Mary too.
I will. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, you.
Oh, Larry, drop an envelope.
It's a picture. Okay, let's see. You don't know where I'm going.
Go ahead.
Commissioner?
That's good.
Let me just get situated here. We're joined by Fire Commissioner BJ Calvi, and I gave a shout out earlier. BJ, you weren't here at the time. Besides the police department's efforts with Narcan, your department has done a tremendous job with saving lives and giving second chances out. So we appreciate that. And I know you're here with the deputy, fire deputy Rivera also, and your finance team. And I want to thank you for your hands-on leadership. The times that I might have to be on scene, he's always there. But the times that I don't have to be on scene, he's always there. So he's a hands-on fire commissioner. And another department, as I mentioned, with Police Superintendent Akers, the most diverse fire department in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, if not New England. And that goes from hierarchy all the way down to rank and file on it. And both are, both above or past the parity also. And the firefighters in the academy do, a number of mini academies do reflect our population of the city of Springfield. And as Dr. No here, Kathy will say, nobody is as diplomatically aggressive when it comes to a vehicle and apparatus and equipment fighting for his firefighters left and right. I'm glad to say that we do have labor harmony with the rank and file. I think out of 13 labor unit, only one that's out now is just the district chiefs, and we're hopeful that we can get that settled ASAP, and that's extremely important. So Kathy or Billy, any comments on it? Hey, Commissioner, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so our FY27 budget is for a request of $31,191,132. That maintains our funding for 290 FTEs. 278 of those are uniformed, It continues our EpiPen and Narcan programs, continues our proactive replacement of turnout gear, which is critical for firefighter safety. And since we've gone to PFAS-free gear as mandated, the gear isn't standing up as well, so it's very important that we maintain this purchasing of 50 sets of turnout gear a year to ensure firefighter safety and ensure longevity of the gear. This budget provides for our software programs, all of our behind the scenes equipment that we need and everything like that. And it's a level service budget. It did grow by 5.78%, but that accounts for 3% increases in salaries from last year because the contract was 2 years behind. So we actually did a little bit better at 5.78. It didn't go up a full 6%. We were able to save 0.25% there with some strategic moves of funding and things like that.
And you've
Pat
been,
yourself on the back.
and you've been sort of being able to stay at attrition or ahead of attrition within reason.
So we are just about at the attrition level right now. We have 5 firefighters that graduated the academy that will be swearing in on Thursday. We've got 5 that started the academy last Thursday, and we've got 8 more in the hiring pipeline that will go to the academy in June.
When you hear those, I mean, when Police Superintendent Larry Akers is here, and you hear the bigger academy numbers, what we do with Commissioner Calvin, it's worked, we do it now, we run our own, we have to run with the state now in the Indian Orchard. We have the training sector there, we can run as much as 12. And sometimes they'll give us some leeway, so we do mini academies.
Yeah.
So that number, when you total the number, that, you know, that number is apropos or appropriate for what the department needs.
So we've been able to maintain pace. With the 8 that we're hiring now, we currently have no vacant positions slated. We do have 4 people in the retirement pipeline right now for injuries. So those will be coming up for filling later in the year once we can get them off the books.
Okay. You've been very busy, when we do our monthly meetings on, a huge amount of calls. I know you'll get into not only fire calls, but medical calls and,
So
some of the great saves you guys have made, not only in structure, but on lives too.
So we had 22,843 requests for service last year, which generated 32,021 individual responses. 545 of those were fire incidents, 178 structure fires, 8 of those were multiple alarms. The rest were cars and trash fires. We did 13,810 medical calls. And several of those were technical rescue calls, and like, so we very busy.
I know sometimes you or police are first on the scene, you know, AMR follows shortly, but a lot of times the initial response is fire or police on that. I know sometimes we'll use the TAC units when it's available to do that. So, and then if we can still with the academies is Kathy, I think that might keep the more control on the overtime account too.
We've actually done better on overtime this year. With our overtime expenditures, we're a little bit behind the curve where we were way ahead of the curve last year at the same time.
I know, I remember the Cushing Avenue fire, which the houses are right on in the south and right on top of each other. Guys, and that was a terrible weather day of freezing weather, ice, and DPW, right? So they came with sanding and salting. And you guys did a great job containing that, because that could have went all the way up the street. At
Oh, yeah.
that time.
That was a 3-alarm fire, was an arson fire. We've identified suspects. We're working on getting names and warrants at this time. But that was a very tight neighborhood. There was snow on the ground. It was icy. We had freezing rain and bitter cold temperatures. So everything was freezing up. As soon as the water came out of the nozzle, we were building ice. So fortunately, we didn't have any severe injuries that day. But that was another good fire. Other big fires of notable note for the past year, we had the wrecking yard fire up off Page Boulevard. That went to 4 alarms. Fortunately, we had no injuries at that fire. We were able to knock that down within 6 hours, which was a huge kudo to the members working that night. That was the complete opposite end of the spectrum. We had hot temperatures, high humidity, a lot of heat coming off the fire pile. So that was another big fire we had this year.
I came on scene on that, and the work you guys did, and before I got the call, that there was, media was reporting huge black smoke, there was smoke that, was covering the area, and then you brought me right up to seeing that was about 6 stories high. And the great work that they did, and I know you expended millions and millions of gallons of water. But at that point in time, we had huddled, and Commissioner Helen Colton Harris and Tommy Ash and others, facilities, that we might be prepared to open up shelters, because at the time, you guys were testing, the air testing quality was
Yep.
going on. And it said, if, you know, we gave a thing that people stay in your houses for right now, keep your windows closed. It was a very hot and humid night. I remember we did the press thing, it was about 11 o'clock at night. But thank God, by the time you guys had really knocked that fire down, and everybody was able to stay at their home, but it was 6 stories high. And it was-
Probably 200 feet long.
It was a massive fire.
We pumped, my calculation was we pumped just shy of 6 million gallons to put that fire out.
That you got there. I know we're joined by your deputy Mike Hess is also here, and they're from 911, and Erica from the budget too. Go ahead, Commissioner, sorry.
So that about wraps up the presentation on the fire department. We're preserving all core functions. Every seat is filled, and we went up 5.78% over last year due to contractual obligations with personnel.
Okay.
No more fire truck.
I got us a deal on this.
Oh, you always get me a deal.
Yeah.
I know, you always get me a deal.
I'm looking out for you,
Yeah, I
Kathy.
know, you're such
Kathy,
favor.
Kathy wants you to get those, when you remember the old Christmas commercials there, the Hess fire truck?
Oh, yeah.
Those are the ones that she,
We got our money's worth out of the last one, truck.
yes, we did.
The one that
19,
just parted was a 1996.
Yeah.
It had 132,000 miles on it and 14,800 pump hours.
We got our money's worth out of that.
Yeah.
Kathy, any questions, Billy?
No, but
I'll turn it over to.
Another shout out to your command staff and all your team.
Oh, thank you. Everybody works very hard and getting the job done.
And then to emergency preparedness with the deputy Ty Denson, too, when we have to, weather conditions or emergency situations, but this guy here is hands on, so. Let me, Counselor Santinello, Counselor Davila, Counselor Hurst, Counselor Santinello.
Quick question, the foam has been banned now, right?
So PFAS foam has been banned. We're using what's called green foam now, 3,6 green. It doesn't work quite as well, but it's more environmentally friendly.
Did you use that on the tire fire?
We did not pump any foam on the tire fire because we already had enough contamination on the ground and I was trying to do it with straight water.
And the second question I have is, for some of the heavy equipment that you buy, you were buying for,
Yeah,
sometimes it takes 2 to 3 years to get that equipment, correct?
Yes.
on some of it. So some of our larger equipment that we've purchased, like the last 3 ladder trucks, we've purchased out of the stock program. So I work with the dealer to find out what's coming out of the stock program, and then I've been coordinating with Kathy in finance with bond spacing and things like that. So we've been able to get them with like a 6-month lead time because we're buying trucks that are already built in the pipeline. Our engines we're not able to do that with, so we purchased an engine last fiscal year that we're expecting next year. It's about a 36-month build time on an engine right now. If we were to buy a custom ladder truck, it's about 48 months.
Do you have mechanics that work on those engines, or do you send that out?
We have 6 mechanics in-house. We've got our own repair facility. We've got our own lifts. We've got all the heavy equipment to change axles. We rebuild motors right in-house, so we take care of it all right in-house.
Do you get any of that equipment from Canada?
As far as what?
Any of the firefighting equipment?
No, it's all made in Wisconsin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Dirk. A commissioner literally goes out there and
Yeah.
to say, So we make sure we're getting our bang for our buck on there. And I want to thank Mr. Calvi too, because like I said before, that we've been able to hire mechanics out of Putnam Vocational Technical Academy as with DPW, and they specialize in doing this stuff, and they love the game opportunity to, and they love working at the department over there.
Yeah, we had take students in under the co-op program where they work their shop week with us. And then two of them have gone into our apprenticeship program. And one of the apprentices is actually a master repairman now. So he's come from Putnam co-op intern right through master repairman now with us. So
That's a great story.
Great.
Thank you, Councilor Chantinello. Councilor Davila, Councilor Hurst? Any
Thank you,
questions, comments? Councilor Davila?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just more of a comment just to recognize the great work that the fire department does and the police department. Without these guys, we'd be in deep trouble. They're professional, and I'm glad to see that we continue to not only meet our contractual agreements with them, but also giving them state-of-the-art equipment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Commissioner Calvin.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Davila. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll do we have
Move on to dispatch. now?
dispatch? I think that closes you out, DJ.
Yeah, so next up is the dispatch budget.
My wife and train EJ said hello. Thank you.
So this year's dispatch budget is a request of $3,660,624. This maintains our 55 FTEs at dispatch. 45 of those are public safety dispatchers, 4 operations supervisors, and 6 administrative personnel. Continues all our funding for contractual software maintenance agreements, including Smart 911, Guardian Tracking, Equiture, Critical, Frontline, and Power DMS. Continues funding for our outreach to increase retention, to increase our recruiting, retention. Funds continue professional maintenance and cleaning of dispatch equipment.
They're the front lines. They take the initial calls and then dispatch into police and fire, so they have all the information at hand, and sometimes have to deal with some difficult calls and people, why can't, why do you need this, why do you need that? And that the information is, the question they ask is for important information. And I know we do heavy training and we always try to guard against the burnout stuff.
Yes, we answered over 400,000 calls for telephone calls last year at the center.
That's still with everybody.
With everybody,
Yeah.
over 400,000 calls. The new CAD system has greatly increased our response times. It's cut out a lot of duplications in work and call processing. So it's really smoothed the workflow up there. So that's great. Everybody's working super hard. We currently have 3 vacancies, soon to be 4.
So we have a class of 5 that are starting in 3 weeks. And then in addition to that, we have 2 vacancies. So one that was standing and one unfortunately has a resignation this morning. So we have 2 vacancies out of that class.
2 vacancies after the class, but as soon as this class finishes, we'll do another small class to get, so we're up to full staffing again. Everything has been going rather smoothly up there as of late since we've gone to the new facility. We're not losing as many people. We did lose a couple people to the police academy this last go around, one to crime analysis, so there's still a little bit of a stop loss. We still have a little bit of loss, but not like we used to have.
And you have the deputy has that heads that up. I know Deputy Revere's operations and Deputy Denson is emergency preparedness. So
Community risk reduction.
oh, new term. Okay. Okay.
So the good thing about most of the dispatch budget is we get a performance grant from state 911. So we're able to lay most of the prices, most of the cost of the operation off on the 911 development grant as the year goes on. So we're fortunate in that aspect. So hopefully we're maintaining status quo. Our budget increase up there was I think we met the 2.5% increase at fire alarm, so I think we're good there.
And then I know you have to constantly do updates, equipment or software and other things that you're mandated to do.
Yeah, so we had to we're looking to replace a new recorder this year to record all the radio frequencies. That's one of our capital projects, but 95.13% of the budget is personnel services and dispatch. And equipment and maintenance is only 4.8% of the budget.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Kathy, Billy? Any questions from counselors at all? Okay, hearing none.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Say hi to Carrie.
Will do.
What's,
Texted Chris to see if he was.
yeah, we're running a good clip now. That's good.
We're going right on.
Thanks, BJ.
Thank you.
Thank you, fire.
I texted Chris, but he hasn't responded.
You missed all the fun in the rain on Sunday.
Let me tell you, I love marching in that parade. I was telling Larry and, running ahead of schedule, which is good, And, we're waiting, Director, Chris Signoli, DPW, to get here. He's scheduled for a later time. So we're gonna take a little bit of, just a short break and then we'll be right back on. Thank you very much. Nobody else on? Okay, thank you. We're back again and we're here with DPW Director Chris Signoli, and we're joined by Council Brian Santinello, who's been very faithful in attending these budget hearings. We're running ahead of schedule, so I had to pull away Chris from filling potholes today out there. And I know that they are catching up on them, and we still want you to call 311, and he's gonna give an update pertaining to that, and also an update on more roadways are gonna be paving with the Governor Healy. It put more money in the chapter 90 budget, which is good, allows us to do more roads, and we appreciate your patience and understanding. Kathy, any opening comments on it?
No.
Director Signoli?
Sure, wonderful. Just to talk a little bit about, you had mentioned paving program there. Our paving program for this year, we received our, letter from Mass DOT, Governor's Office a week or two ago. The city's receiving a little bit over $5 million. Our paving program this year is going to be 6.5. And as I was mentioning before, we're probably going to add in a number of, in lieu of doing some residential streets, we're gonna be probably doing a few more arterial streets to catch up on the chronic pothole problems. And as was mentioned, things like Parker Street, Sumner Avenue Expansion, Bay Street, and a few other, Worthington being one of them as well. So we're gonna be adding those in. That has to go to the council. We are working on our estimates now, so if it is not the April 7th meeting, we will be at the second meeting when we have the list complete of everything to be able to go out to bid for this year. And I mentioned we got 5 million, but we're doing 6.5 over the fall. We received 2 pots of money, one the fair share, which is the millionaire's tax, and one's rural roads. So both of those are being completely dumped into the paving program. With regard to our budget for fiscal year 27, I'll turn it over to Luke. He can do the whole presentation.
All right, here we go. Good to see you, Luca Minio, and congratulations. And thank you. We're talking about the potholes, you and Pedro, and your team, the team that you have out there starting to catch up now, and the asphalt companies are open, so hot paving is going on right now, and Director Snow just gave an update. We're gonna be even doing more streets now, thanks to Governor Healy's efforts on chapter 90, which we used to get like about
3.6 for about 14 years.
14 years, yeah, which was about 60% when you include the inflation and other stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but 6.5. So, Director Snow, go ahead.
Thank you. For fiscal year 27, the DPW has 2 budgets. We have our general fund budget and our enterprise fund. Enterprise fund obviously is everything associated with trash, recycling, yard waste, household hazardous waste, et cetera, in the city. Our budget for request for next year, our fiscal year 26 approved budget is 14.455 million. Our request as of right now is 15.031, is a 4% increase. However, the major item in there is trash. We are in the process of re-advertising that right now, and based upon preliminary information, we know we are going to get pricing less than what we are paying right now. In the budget for this coming year, I actually put in an increase of what we had, just to be covered, but I fully expect that bids for that are opening next Friday. And when we open those bids, I will also be doing new contracts for recycling and for bulk waste on all of those. I'm waiting to see if I can lump them all together, depending upon who the low bidders are on that. But I fully expect that there will be a savings of probably at least $500,000 in that line item of what we will be dealing with for next year. On the general fund side, we are looking for a 1.3% increase. Basically, all line items were held with the exception of just a handful. Obviously, anything that has to do with payroll or contracts, those are all in there with everything that we have to do. On the highlight side,
Chris, can I just say,
Sure.
with the trash too, we do get kudos for our trash program and what we're able to provide at the very limited cost, and the free yard waste and pick up the bulk we've kept within reason on that. And if you talk to surrounding communities, they tell me they killed for what we are able to do on that. I know you mentioned roadways and working with the city council. You continue keeping the sidewalk program, which is great. That's
Correct.
always a home run with that. But I wanted to mention trash is big business, and we're trying to be as efficient and effective and respectful of it. But they're out to bid, and we'll see what the competitors who comes in at a reasonable price.
And just on the trash side, before I do talk about the general fund, all of our contracts with regard to trash are tied to the Bondi's landfill. We are not depositing any more material in that landfill. When the burn plant went down, our trash is now being dumped over at the spot of the burn plant. It is being transported someplace else, and it is disposed of by them. Historically, in the past, the material was burned there and it was brought across the street and dumped in the landfill. Our contracts talk about closure of the landfill.
Yeah.
And right now, that's probably scheduled for 2032, 2033. However, there is space there for an expansion, and I would fully expect Covanta to want to do an expansion of the landfill. Simply because they are bringing in revenue for the material that they are bringing in there. Once you get rid of a landfill, you're not getting another one anywhere around in Western Mass. So every Chicopee closed theirs, Granby closed theirs. So the property there is extremely valuable to anybody who needs to use it for disposal of material. We have, with the exception of the first 2 years, 1984, 1985, we deposited the actual trash there. Everything since then has been ash that is in that landfill. So it's all the burn material that's there. It's running fine. We don't, we have some drainage issues that happen from time to time, but in general terms, the landfill is operating pretty well.
And it takes millions and millions of dollars, believe me, I know when first, millions and millions of dollars to close landfills.
Yes.
And monitor them.
A lot. And we would then have to, when it is closed, you set up a FAM, a financial surge mechanism with DEP, that you have to have the money in place in order to be able to service the landfill. We have a FAM in place right now for what we need to do, and it's a requirement. With regard to the general fund, as I mentioned, our increase there is only about 1.3%, and it has all the contracted raises in there for all the different unions, and also has the increases that we have contractually, whether we are talking about software or whether we are talking about vendors or anything like that, that is in place. Our sidewalk crew is in there as well. Our sidewalk crew, most of those guys right now are working potholes and will be working potholes for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks.
And we
probably.
appreciate your efforts,
Yeah.
gentlemen, very much.
And
so.
we will then once we start to transition, we opened up this week permits for private utility companies private entities and utility companies to start work within the city. However, today I also sent out to all the utility companies with regard to pavement issues. Aside from just having standard potholes all over the place in the city, we are also having a lot of failed trenches, failed utility covers, etc. So we sent something out to everybody that they're gonna have to get out there and get their work done as well on that. So and we did not, to the best of my knowledge, we didn't add anything new or any major requirements into either of the two budgets. The concerns, some of the questions, we in the submission that we submit back to finance, we make all the corrections with regard to contracts. We have to pay stipends for CDL licenses, hoisting licenses, garage inspectors, traffic signal technicians, etc. So everything's been updated in our database as well to make sure that we have all the correct money in there as well. Historically, we have about 135 people between both sides. And we've been running pretty lean. We have, in the past year, we've had a significant increase in workman's comp. We've been averaging between 10 and 12 employees a week on comp. And I'm not happy about that. And we've been working with HR on trying to make sure that that stuff is monitored pretty well, because, you know, we're getting drivers who are fully automated drivers who are getting injured, and I'm trying to figure out how that's happening. And because if they're in the truck, how is that happening? We've had a few people sustain serious injuries, and we know what they're for.
Are they leaving the trucks?
Excuse me?
Are they leaving the truck?
In some cases, yeah, they do leave the truck to move a barrel or something like that, but in a lot of cases, it's, you know, knee, neck, back, soft tissue injuries. So, but we've had a huge increase. We basically went through the winter, short about 10 to 12 drivers on the solid waste side. We run routes every day for trash, so we were short a route every day, but that's, you know, no big deal. We get that taken care of. On that, we had no problems with the collection. April 7th, we will be starting yard waste collection. We put the notice out last week, on that as well. So that will be starting up again. We use a lot of temporary labor for that. With the 135 people and with the workman's comp and vacancies, et cetera. As well, we're Billy, he's not wrong. As Billy knows and Kathy knows, you know, we're constantly in front of the PRC backfilling positions. So at the end of the year, we always have a significant amount of salary left over. And if we end up ever having to use that for transferring back and forth between accounts, we can do that. We haven't had to do that in a number of years. So I'm anticipating we're gonna be all set for that this year. The only issue that we're gonna be dealing with this current year's budget is gonna be snow. We're probably 1.2 to 1.5 over. And in the next 2-3 weeks, we will be starting to liquidate all the contracts. And then figure out any services that we need to do right now, such as additional purchase of salt, additional purchase of, repairs of equipment, et cetera, that we want to get done. I know we're gonna need to buy salt. We started to run into an issue 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
We actually had our vendors say to us, we don't know if we can give you more salt. Well, that got taken care of really quickly, thanks to Luca. So
thank you. We're one of the biggest customers, on that. I know
we reminded them.
proactive on it. And you've done I know you've got a number of projects too. I wanted to, the crosswalk pedestrian safety thing, we've done, I think 25 or 30 across city. Some are completely fully automated now with the Hawker lights.
We'll be
press
doing
the
more.
button. And we tell people, I see all the time, I tell people, the crosswalk's right there. And they don't utilize it, or they'll go in they don't press the button on it. So, if you're talking about the sidewalks, the fiber we're doing, which is throughout the city owned facilities and for cheaper internet for our options for the city residents. Eversource is now fully 100% LED lights. You've also done a number of the roundabouts that have been done, which have been quite successful. And the neighborhood monies that I gave with ARPA funds and also the neighborhood councils, you pretty much have done all the projects they requested. Also for their neighborhood, hearing that neighborhood, what they want to continue to improve the neighborhoods. But you got a myriad of projects that you guys have completed and done here. And I know you worked very closely with the feds also and the state, whether the Mass Mutual project, the Quarter Square project, other projects that they're bridges. I know you maybe get an update on, that's MassDOT that does NEX, the big one on the X.
Yeah.
We got a meeting coming up with the Forest Park Civic Association on
The 8th.
on it. And now, just to let you know, when that project there, and I'm glad they have done, now it's up to the MassDOT and the construction, they're the ones responsible for filling those potholes over there too. So they've been doing that too. But Chris, I don't know if you want to give more updates on?
Yeah, from a lot of the projects that you mentioned, Mayor, we will be doing additional sidewalks this year, with CDBG money and some leftover bond money as well. Projects that have been completed, St. James, what I call Carew, St. James and Carew, that double intersection there. The bridge projects, which are going to be numerous over the next few years.
5 or 6.
There's going to be a new North End Bridge, a new bridge into Ludlow, from Route 21, end of Parker Street into the area there. We are also working with Mass DOT on the West Street Bridge, on that as well. Bids will be opened in the next couple of weeks for Armory Street. The two railroad bridges are gonna be completely replaced. And as well as bridges Tapley Street over 291, St. James over 291. The dry bridge, St. James Avenue near Albany, is also going to be replaced as well. Mass DOT also has a couple of roadway projects that they are looking at. One of them is Carew and Dwight Street, intersection, as well as the Armory Liberty Rotary, of redoing some work there. So we've been reviewing those plans as well. A number of other projects that the state has initiated is Safe Routes to School. So we've been have a bunch of projects that are going to be doing improvements, sidewalk, et cetera, around schools. The first one that will happen will be Rebecca Johnson. And the one that is being worked on now is actually, Bowles Elementary, East Street, Bowles Park, that area up there as well. Court Square itself is complete. The major hiccup we had there was the vault underneath 1252 Main Street. That is all complete. The work for moving across the street in front of the Mass Mutual Center will be starting in probably about 3 weeks. Mass Convention Center Authority is also doing work there with our contractor. That's all been approved. We're doing the paperwork on that now. And we are in the process. The X right now excuse me, the X right now is really the only project that we have on the tip. We're gonna be initiating a number of other projects, through the tip. One that we just did is a intersection improvement project at Roosevelt Avenue and Roosevelt Terrace, for putting in a signalized, intersection there. The conversion of the LED streetlights, as you talked about, Mayor. And we are working with, Tina and Tim Sheehan on looking at the lights that the city owns downtown, which is about 300 or so.
Yeah.
Of doing some upgrades on those. And our major safety project that we've been working with, the Federal Highway Administration on, it's really just lagged, from a federal standpoint. We're gonna be moving forward that construction will most likely happen next summer. Of about $16 million worth of roadway safety improvements around the city. Anywhere from handicap ramps, better signalization, signage, crosswalks, et cetera. We also have a number of grants that we've gotten through the state that are already out to bid. Projects, as you mentioned, Mayor, crosswalks with the beacons. We're gonna be doing one on Belmont Avenue at, I think it's Washington Street, where Washington School is there. Berkshire and Holly Street is going to have another one in the Orchard.
Yeah.
And we have a number of other applications that we're submitting to the state as well. So for this year, we're obviously starting to get into the spring season right now and switching over. We are still working 3 shifts. That's finishing the 3rd.
Yeah,
April
next
3rd.
Monday will be.
Yeah, next Monday we will be off of our full shifts for winter. And one of the things that has happened this year with us, during this fiscal year, we've had a significant amount of turnover inside the department. Obviously, we had the death of Bobby Holtzen, Steve Beam, Robbie, Peggy, Steve Jankwitz, Bill Pianco, who runs our garage, is gonna be retiring soon,
Those
so.
were about 40 years or something like that, right?
Jesus.
And horse and carriages, I think.
Well, they were a lot easier to maintain back then. You gave them.
We're joined by Deputy DPW Director Greg Supino here. People might remember his dad, Garris, so Joe Supino, who was a great DPW Director, then worked for the state too, and water and sewer too. Yes, yeah.
So we have had, obviously a number of things going on in the department, but from a budgetary perspective, we're in very, very good shape. Greg stays on top of it, 24/7. And whenever we need to move money for anything, obviously we have conversations, whether it's to meet with Kathy or,
Dr. No?
I'm
Well-
Dr. Maybe.
Oh.
he says maybe, so I always say.
Oh, you're over there,
I
huh?
let her say.
And then she goes, oh, I would have said, yes, it's Kathy, it's a pain in the ass, But you know, for our, anything that we've ended up needing money for any of the little projects that we have, we haven't had any issues with that, excuse me.
See that?
And we are in the, you know, when I, you know, it's this time of the year, Mary, gotta be nice now. You know, when we have, the other thing that we're in the middle of right now is our vehicle purchasing.
Oh, yeah.
Spent a bunch of time with BJ today about, finalizing his plan stuff, so our new plan, will be done very shortly with that. We, coming out of the winter, one of the things I wanted to wait for, I have about $1 million unspent. So I wanted to see how a bunch of the equipment kind of made it through the winter, so we're gonna be putting on all these orders on that for equipment, probably in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. We're probably, rather than getting some of the heavier equipment, we're probably gonna be advancing some of the passenger vehicles for those departments that are still kind of bitching about it. All of those old Ford Focuses are just starting to fall apart, and just transmissions, et cetera. So
Well, we thank you on that. We thanked you in a prior budget meeting that you sort of spearheaded that, with the.
I was told to spearhead it by somebody.
Well, you were diplomatically aggressive with that, but
Did I mention a name?
we appreciate that.
And yeah, that's the, so I was talking with BJ because obviously he's buying that. I wanted to make sure that new truck and
Yeah.
what he's purchased, yada, yada,
Yeah,
yada.
yeah.
We've been through that a few times, so.
Seinfeld, line.
So we will be, when you get ready, we'll meet with the mayor and then
Yeah.
we'll decide, and then
Yeah.
we can present it to the city council also.
When I made, when I put my budget stuff together, Mayor, there's always a handful of things, that, you know, I just look at from a long-term perspective. I talked about the department turnover a little bit. The solid waste that you mentioned, we are probably, and I'm still trying to make sure the number's right, somewhere between 10, 11 and 13 in the state. We are only one of the few communities that still pick up our own trash.
Yeah.
Holyoke does, but virtually everybody now is going private. A lot of the contractors that I have met with over the last 2, 3 years, if I've said to them, hey, would you ever be interested in doing the city of Springfield? Their answer right now is a flat no. They don't have the people, they don't have the equipment, and, you know, we've seen problems in East Long Meadow and Wilbraham.
That's
and
right.
other
You know
towns,
what?
so.
We have, I know people are, but, open up making comments on that. When you talk to people from around the area, they would kill for what we have here, the single stream, the large barrels, you know, the very reasonable, price that we have. And even during this difficult, brutal winter, the DPW, depending on when they were out there
Never
picking up,
missed it.
didn't miss a trash pickup whatsoever. And if you privatize it, the price would definitely be higher.
You would save money the first 2 years.
Yeah. Then
And that's what makes it attractive.
They're paying $280 to $3 something, and I don't know how they do it, whatever, but they have what I call the tall kitchen barrels.
Ooh.
On it, so, but single stream award-winning free yard pickup, bulk pickup is really very inexpensive, and we come right to your curb to get it. So it's a good service.
When we had the mattress issue,
Which was a state mandate.
correct. Yep, when we were looking through that, I started to do a lot of research around here about costs. And we were charging residents $8, we now are charging them 16. I may have my town wrong, either Wilbraham or Ludlow, I think it was Ludlow, $60, and you gotta bring it to the landfill.
Yeah.
Wilbraham, you know, I was talking to them about trash fee, they say, well, we don't have a trash fee per se, but if you wanna dump your material, it's $195 and you have to bring it to the landfill, or you can contract with a Waste Management or Republic or somebody like that on there, and you're talking $375, $400 for some of the communities around here. So from an affordability standpoint, as much as people love to complain about the trash fee, we are massively cheaper than virtually everybody else. The traffic signal maintenance is becoming more and more difficult. Simply because of certification.
Yeah.
That's the difficult thing, just trying to find those people. What we just did, we just hired 2 guys. They haven't started yet, right? April 13th. Well, he's the guy that does that. We just hired 2 people. They do not have the certifications. But what we did is hired before from within, gave those guys a year to get all their certifications. And actually, that's where Pedro came from.
Yep.
And I was kind of happy that he's now the deputy in charge of operations, but sad that he was really coming along in the traffic signal side, because when those things go down, they are extremely, extremely complicated. We had one at the corner of Pasco and Page Boulevard. I'm still trying to figure out how the car landed on it. Never touched the guide rail, but completely crushed the
How many,
control.
when you give me the updates, how many traffic lights have been taken out the
Oh my
last
God.
couple of years? It's unbelievable.
We had
I don't understand.
two this
people that
weekend?
drive-
It was two this
Drive like
weekend.
maniacs.
Yeah, the traffic controllers, the one at Pasco that was probably out for what, a month and a half?
Yep.
Yeah, cause it needs to be completely rebuilt. And so, we rebuild them, and I actually had the media come in again because they were interested in it. And I actually did a Facebook post about it just to be able to show what we were doing with it. Mentioned the vehicles, we're gonna be going through our plan. And I expect something probably in the next year or something, maybe availability of that property next door to us. The lawsuits are still going back and forth between them. We're completely out of it.
We didn't.
We're completely out of it. So they're suing each other. But I would anticipate that the land would become available for purchase somewhere along the way. But from a cost on that. And having an indoor storage facility.
A lot of, unfortunately, the director said, no, we have to house a lot of our vehicles outside. This would be an indoor storage facility, which would help with the wear and tear down the road. So Dr. No's already nodding her head, the wrong way. Well, we put it
We'll
on.
wait for her to retire. Lindsay said maybe, you heard that, right?
Not in my lifetime.
That's encouraging, Grace, anything else, Director Signoli?
No, I think that is it. I think that is it with our side, and right now, it's from a budget perspective, I never use the word happy, content. And with everything that we have in the budget, it covers everything that we need to.
And you gotta remember, I remember we mentioned IT, I know Councilman Santinello has some unique questions too. When IT, we talked about IT at one time, how many they had for staff, and they're doing it with a half that. DPW had especially when we have the water sewer component, had a big staff, and you're really doing it with about 120.
130, about 130 people, 135 positions.
Yeah.
And probably on average, we're probably about 120 people.
Yeah.
Working between comp and, vacancies.
Kathy, any questions on?
No, I went closely with.
I know Councilor Santinello has some.
Yeah.
Do I have to answer his question?
Brian, yes.
Oh, okay.
I just want to say that, several years ago, a few years back, there were several Texas cities that implemented a 3-point plan to reduce crime. It included better street lighting,
Mhm.
cleaning up the vacant properties, and walking police patrols.
Mhm.
And I want to commend all of you, including the mayor. He implemented all of those.
Well, we work together, Brian. on that.
Yeah, I
Thank you,
understand that,
Councilor
but
Santinello.
I want to give you the credit.
Yeah.
But our crime in Springfield has gone down about 20%. That's a fact. And also is the case. Cities in Texas, same thing. It worked. And I want to commend you because that LED lighting was supposed to be 5 years and you
Yeah.
did it in 3.
It was done in 3. Eversource did an absolutely fantastic job.
I know they did it, and that helped reduce crime too.
Mhm.
So I want to commend your department, Eversource, and the mayor.
I actually get complaints that they're too bright.
Oh, yeah, I get called.
Yeah.
The Lumina, it's too bright now. The whole point. But Councilor Santinello, that's an initiative that, we work hand in hand on, and it goes part of the, crime fighting component about having areas lit up, and we try to do the best we can. People talk about ornamental lights, you can't get the parts anymore. And our main goal was that we wanted to look, aesthetically, okay, but we want the lighting, with the illumination, you can't. But I'll turn it back to Councilor. He had a unique question on gasoline too.
Yeah. On the mattresses now.
Yes.
$16. Have we seen any increase in illegal dumping?
Minimal, right now, minimal. And we have actually seen a little bit of a downtick in the numbers. Before this was implemented at the state level, which was 23,
Yeah.
22 or 23.
22 or 23.
Yeah, basically, they came back mandated, you have to recycle mattresses. We were collecting about 2,500 a year. When that came in, all of a sudden, we went up to 7,500. Now, I know COVID, things were really wacky, especially with trash and recycling during that period of time. We're back down now to probably a hair under 7,000, but that number is going down. But there really hasn't been a big increase. The problem that we've been seeing with regard to things like that
Out of town.
is people are putting things out on the tree belt and saying, come one, come all, take anything that you want. And the stuff sits out there.
Yeah.
And then we do get a call that says, hey, you guys need to go pick up this mattress. And we're like, well, wait a minute. And that was when we did the ordinance over, it was in there. And it was like, cause that's a big thing now. Just put all your crap out on the tree belt and somebody's gonna come and take it. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, and I noticed on White Street after the snowstorms, when everything melted those few days, all of a sudden there were 3 mattresses that have been there all winter with that. But dealing with Tommy McCarthy with the Clean City guys.
We go code enforcement first.
Yes.
And then, if it gets to the point in time, we have Clean City go, but we have to, but the other problem when this happened, and Chris will tell you, we had a lot of out of town landlords. He nipped in the bud quickly, we're calling a 2-family, Brian. And said, we got 20, we got 20 mattresses to pick up. There's no way they had 20 mattresses, because their prices they were paying were astronomical in the
Right.
the city or town they lived in, but
we've stopped that. And we're working with Tommy McCarthy, he has not seen an increase, anything worth writing home about. So that's worked out pretty well. Because they're dumping, they're still dumping.
Thank you.
Brian, Councilor Sempanella had an earlier question for when Commissioner Callen was here. I know you buy ahead of time with Sam, with the gasoline price. Do we buy ahead of time with gasoline too?
We are on
know you
a
tried-
state contract for gas.
That's correct.
Every time that we do a gas delivery, the price is different. So we're working off the gas prices that we're dealing with. And they spike up, they spike down, we could get it, and we're not paying tax. So the number,
Yeah.
I can't tell you what the number is today, but it's, not what we're paying at the pump. That's, what you see at the pump, we're paying significantly less than that. But it is not a locked in rate. We're on a state contract for that. And it goes up and down. Nothing, early days of COVID, it popped way up.
Yeah.
And, but it has come back down, and it is not we go through gas and diesel, probably about 50,000 gallons a month.
Wow.
In the city. And so between all of the different departments, there's a lot of vehicles.
Diesel's way up.
Diesel's way up there, but I haven't seen, huge increases, but every time we get bills, and that was probably the one thing that Bobby Olson did 100% on his own with everything associated with that. So we got that taken care of, but yeah, basically every week when we get our billing, we get a different price.
I told the story early in another budget, going through natural and man-made disasters. I think specifically the freak nor'easter Halloween, October back in 2011. There was a lot of gas stations that had no power.
Right.
And we helped, certain agencies that had to do emergency service. We tracked it, obviously, that we were able to, we had power to get gas at that point in time.
And we are also, it's a Peter Garvey project, gonna be having new gas pumps at Tapley Street. It's under contract right now. All the tanks are on order, so it's gonna happen this summer. When the tanks come in, they're gonna start replacing all the tank system. The canopy is shot, so that's all original stuff from 1997. When they started to do the construction up there. So that's all happening. And actually, you got a pretty good price on that project. I think we were spending 2.5 and it was like 1.6, something like that. So, good project. I'm just not looking forward to the disruption.
Are we looking at the possibility down the road of electric vehicles?
Yes and no. I'm guessing somewhere along the way that there's gonna be some mandates. That they're gonna come in. The state has stopped any of their programs. Going back 6, 7, 8 years, the state was having programs encouraging entities to purchase electric vehicles. The problem that I was seeing with electric vehicles is charging stations. Using just Tapley Street as an example, we have code enforcement, DPW. The other departments have a few vehicles, but just from a passenger vehicle standpoint and police ordinance, there's probably 45, 50 vehicles that are there. So basically every day, how are you gonna charge those vehicles? And if you're gonna charge them, you're gonna be using power, obviously, but you're gonna be using a lot of space. So how are you gonna do that? And then the second thing that came along was just the cost of these things are astronomical, in comparison to the regular vehicles. And then, the last thing was maintenance. The third thing is tow. CJs and other vehicles, in some cases, will not tow a electric vehicle. It gets into an accident, you basically have to call the vendor and they will come out and get the vehicle, because they don't know what's energized and what's not energized. The last thing is maintenance is, okay, now you're gonna have to retrain all of your staff to work on the electric vehicles. And looking at it from a few years ago, the state was doing subsidies to buy some of these, and I'm like, okay, maybe we buy 6 or 8 electric vehicles, hybrids and stuff like that. We have a number of hybrids simply because that's what's available, but we don't have any straight electric vehicles. And one of the problems
Is it cold, very frigid?
well, that's what I was just gonna talk about.
They don't.
I wanna say it was Ottawa, either Ottawa or
Yeah.
one of the towns up there mandated school buses, and they won't start. And we have to have all of our equipment, all of our trash trucks and all of our dumps and larger vehicles all have block heaters. They're all plugged in all winter. So you would still have to do that with the electric vehicles, but we've been looking at it, and not to say that I'm not progressive with that, but it's just from an expense standpoint, gonna be massive. And until somebody tells me from a state perspective, you have to do this.
Show me the money.
And yeah, show us.
You're still gonna have to have a hybrid, or you're gonna have a mix. Just the cost, I think somebody was talking about if you went to all electric, there's no way you would have enough chargers across the country to do that.
No, and my son lives in California.
And the power is needed for that.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be a combination of the fossil, the fuel and green, but it's gotta be a combination.
I was gonna say, my son lives in California, and we go out there's rolling blackouts, and all of a sudden you have no power for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it's just an energy saving technique that they're trying to do. And, there was,
Thank you for your son's service to the country and your service to the country.
there's so much for me, but I ran in the opposite direction. But I'm just trying to think, there was, the state did adopt, I think it was 3 years ago, adopted the California rule. And it was mandating that vehicles be turned over to electric. And I remember I met with Adam, met with Senator Oliveira, Representative Gonzalez, and I was like, you guys are nuts. This is, forget the city of Springfield for a second. I'm like, you're gonna get dump trucks. And what it wasn't saying mandating we had to buy it. What they were doing is mandating that the sellers, in order to sell a gas or diesel vehicle, had to sell an equivalent amount of electric vehicles. So it's like, if I'm sitting back, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna be the one to buy the electric. So they were all like, well, how are we supposed to sell stuff if we can't sell it here? And basically the caveat that they were putting in there is that they would not allow anything sold by a vendor to be registered. So even if they said under the table, here, we're gonna give you a dump truck, you couldn't even get it registered with that. But that law got wiped off the books with that, because there was no way in God's earth anybody was gonna be able to comply with it. Forgetting cities like us, the state wasn't gonna be able to.
Yeah,
So anything at the state level.
There's gotta be a happy.
Yeah, anything at the state level.
Council Santamano,
Yeah, a friend of mine had a transportation company in Connecticut. He converted quite a few of his vehicles to liquefied gas. Is that something that you ever looked at?
So, the gas companies around here did that. The only problem that they've run into over the years is it works very, very well with passenger style vehicles,
Right.
compressed natural gas or equivalent liquid natural gas. And then it just becomes a supply and standard, because it's basically the same type of engine. So from a maintenance standpoint, it's not different. It's one of those right now, it's like, okay, what's the cost of gas? What's the cost of, diesel and unleaded gasoline versus the cost of, liquid natural gas versus the cost of electricity. So it's like, which one today is the good one and which one is the bad one? So all the vehicles that we purchased in the last cycle, everything's been gas or diesel.
So is there potential for credits from the federal government?
Right now, no, they don't have any credits available right
You're
now.
not gonna get it.
They stopped them all. The state used to have them for electric vehicles. They've stopped them, and they've stopped them at the federal level. And that's the big complaint, just on a national scale, is you want us to do this, but you're not giving us any incentive to do it,
Right.
type of thing, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Sanford. Any other questions or comments? This really ran the gamut today with DPW.
Well, I didn't want to talk, Kathy made me.
I don't think anybody forces you not to. Welcome Luca to the table, by the way.
Thank you, Mayor.
TJ was not sure.
I want to thank again, CAFO, Kathy Bunnell, and Deputy CAFO, Lindsay Hackett, and Budget Director Chris Frazier, and your whole finance team for your yeoman work. And I want to thank all the cabinet heads and department heads, and I thank the city councilors, who did show up to the meetings or online. And the cabinet heads department really coming in very, very lean. Our goal, for people who've been watching, I've said it in nauseam, but our goal is again to keep basic services and the individuals that do those basic services going forward. We've been able to balance the budget, I believe it's the last 12 years. It's the last 12 years without the use of reserves. We're hopeful to do it again. There'll come a time that maybe we have to look at the reserves, but you can't liquidate those reserves. We want to maintain the highest bond ratings in the city's history. That helps us in doing a multitude of projects, whether schools or neighborhood projects or other projects. And then, we'll go from there, and we want to be able to provide for our residents and our business community. And let me just clarify again, people hear $1 billion budget. Again, 2/3 of that budget is on the school side. We can't touch that, though we do pay for school busing, and net school aid, we have to pay that figure also. So the majority of the budget's on the school side, which is important, because we want to make sure that our students or our children, families are able to move forward so they can provide for themselves and the community. So we'll start to do the nitty-gritty of grinding down the budget. We always look to keep or make strategic investments. Sometimes you got to spend money to make money also. And then I'll announce what the budget buys. And then we'll get it over to the city council for them to do their due diligence and review with their hearings. And I'm hopeful that we can get the budget passed at that point in time. We'll get it to the city council early. I think Councilor Santinello, who's a dean, is a veteran on the council for many years. I'll tell you, there's been times where we got the budget in the city council 2 weeks before July.
Right.
So we try to get it as early as late April or early May, the budget, so they have to hold their hearings and reviews with the cabinet heads and department heads, and then we'll go from there. So thank you, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day, good health, and God bless. And Easter's coming up fast, so we're happy Easter to everybody too. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.